Welcome everybody. Welcome Brigitte. Um, Couple of things, some programming notes before we get into the presentation. I've been working here as a marketing director at Art Storefronts for going on 6 years and change now, which means for the last 6 years and change, I've really just been studying on how digital marketing, modern digital marketing, and offline physical marketing combined can try to do what all of you guys are trying to do. You're all trying to build a successful art or photography business. You're all trying to get paid from your creations, have it stop being a hobby, have it look more like a full-time job, and how to grow your businesses. And it's no easy task, is it? Like, the way that art and photography sells is not like other products out there. The way that you have to approach it from a marketing standpoint is not like a lot of other products out there. So that part of it is for sure a challenge. And in addition to to working at this for a long time now, I've been hosting 3 of these sessions a week, essentially for a better part of a year and change now, both with you guys, potential customers, and with customers that are already signed up for Art Storefronts. Why do I bring that up? I bring that up to say, on a week in, week out basis, I probably talk to more artists or photographers than just about any human being on this planet. I've heard it all, I've seen it all, and taken all of the various different questions on whatever it is: pricing, niche selection, branding, marketing, Facebook ads, SEO, any of the above. In addition to that, we have a little bit over 5,700 customers at Art Storefronts, and there's 2 aspects to it which kind of gives us a leg up on everybody. One, I get to study everyone's data, and the data has 2 parts to it. Yes, it's who's selling the most originals, and who's selling the highest price originals, and who's selling the highest volume of originals, and what about commissions, and all of the above with commissions, and then who's selling the most prints, and who's selling the most metal prints, and the most expensive metal prints, and the most acrylic and canvas and paper, who has the highest AOV, average order value. So we have a pretty remarkable database spread across artists and photographers in a whole bunch of different niches and a whole bunch of different parts of this planet on what is actually selling. And that's one part of the data. And then the other part of the data is I know what traffic sources are generating those sales because we have the analytical data as well. So it's like, is it coming from Facebook? Are the sales being generated from Instagram? Is it coming from their email list? Is it coming from SEO or Pinterest or some other offline things that they're doing? And you combine all of that, and it gives us some pretty unique insights into what is actually working out there to build art and photography businesses. And it's really, really important data, and it's important not just in the sense of like, hey, we know what some big art and photography businesses look like, and we know the things that they're doing. And what that allows us to do is say, hey, focus some energy here, and then also ignore everything over there, because I have not seen anyone grow a successful business with that. So it's a pretty good data set to have and to be able to reference. And there's no better time than right now, this part of the year, to be on this call and to be contemplating taking your business seriously, because in 38 days, Q4 starts. Q4 is the start of the 4th quarter, otherwise known as the biggest buying season all year long for art and photography businesses. The majority of our customers, at least in years previous to COVID, a great many of them would sell more in the 4th quarter than they would the other 3 quarters combined. So it's a really, really important time to be marketing. It's a really, really important time to be running sales. And COVID has been art and photography sales, art and sales, anything home decor has just been a winner in this whole thing, in this pandemic situation that we've been through. Art and photography sales, along with everything else in the house, have just been exploding. So just a fantastic time to be taking your business seriously, to start doing some active marketing, to get a sale in the water when the Black Friday, Cyber Monday comes. And so we still have some time for you to get your ducks in a row and get ready to do that. Whether you decide to sign up with us or not, understand how important this season is, how important the 4th quarter is to overall art and photography sales. So agenda for the call today. One, I'm going to start with the presentation. It's sort of, it's a set of premises. It's a way that we believe that you need to look at the industry to successfully build a career. And there's some stuff in the business model. There's some premises. I'm going to go through that. It sort of sits on top of everything that we do at Art Storefronts as a business. And then From there, we do what's called the demo process. The demo process is you fill out a little form and it's like test driving the car, right? I know usually what the case is some of you guys on these calls already have them scheduled. Some of you are like, let's see if these guys know what they're talking about, and then maybe I'll schedule one. But the demo is like an hour long. It's a Zoom call with you and somebody on our outreach team. It's totally personalized to you, and it shows you all the bells and whistles and ins and outs and everything that we do with the software. So we can get more into the demo thing on the tail end of the session. So I'm going to go ahead and do the presentation. As the presentation rolls along, I'm going to be throwing reports and videos and links at you. We'll throw some of those things into the chat, which is at the bottom of your little Zoom window. You can hit chat, but some of you guys inevitably are on cell phones and you don't want to be clicking on links. Don't feel like you need to. The second that this presentation is over, I send you an email. The email, not the second, but a couple hours after, the email will have the video from the session. So if you need to rewatch things or if you missed a part of it or whatever, and then underneath it will be all the various different links that you can click on and you can check out. So that will all happen on the back end of things. As we roll along, though, if you do have questions, you can throw them in the chat, and I'll either answer it on the tail end of the session in the Q&A, or members of my team will. Also, if you're one of the ones that's watching on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, I can see your comments, so you can leave a comment there, and I would be happy to answer it during the Q&A. And we'll get into the Q&A after the presentation and how you raise your hand and all that jazz. But in the meantime, we can get into presenting. So let me get out of my little countdown timer here. So to sort of explain, right, the business model and the way of thinking, the way that we believe that you need to think about your art business if you want to take it seriously, is sort of came up with this thing called the art selling pyramid, okay? And it is 100% without question the path to a successful art business in 2021 and beyond. You know, there's a line that's often applied to investing over the long term, and it's like you don't have to get a whole lot right as long as you don't get a whole lot wrong, right? Like, as long as you are regularly contributing to your 401k and you're conservatively investing, if you do that over a lifetime, you know, you don't have to be a wizard or smart. You don't have to get a whole lot right when you retire because you continued contributing to this thing and you didn't make any risky investments. You're going to be totally fine, right? That's this pyramid is that statement for an art business, okay? You don't have to get a whole lot right as long as you don't get some of these things wrong, okay? Which is like going into a fight with one arm tied behind your back. I don't know how you make it as an artist or a photographer if you ignore this pyramid. That's how important it is. And fundamentally, you know, I talk to hundreds of artists and photographers that all say they want to have a serious art or photography business, and they all say they want, you know, to go from hobbyist to side hustle, from side hustle to full-time business, to full-time business that doubles or triples or quadruples. But if you don't get this pyramid right, I don't know how you do that. I certainly don't know. I mean, the percentages, if you don't get this pyramid right, are so low, you might as well play the lottery, okay? You might as well keep your art and photography as a hobby and go play the lottery, because that's what the odds are like if you don't get this stuff right. Bottom block. Oh, and why is it a pyramid? I stole it from Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you know, where you have to like sort the bottom blocks of the pyramid until you get the next one. So in Maslow's case, you know, the physiological stuff, you have to eat, you have to sleep. We all have to do that every single solitary day. Once we have that taken care of, then we can start working on our safety, love, belonging, esteem, on and on and on. Bottom block of the art selling pyramid is attention. Attention is the currency of the land that we live in. With attention, you can do absolutely anything. Without it, you're not in the game. I know conclusively, just based on having done so many of these calls, that every single solitary person in this Zoom session, every one of you has an attention problem. Every one of you has a marketing problem. You need more eyeballs if you would like to sell more of your art, more of your photography, okay? And it is so foundational that no different than Maslow's situation, okay? It is a physiological need to go and get more attention. You need to be working on your marketing daily, just like eating and sleeping. Guess how many artists and photographers work on their marketing daily, just like eating and sleeping? Almost none of them. Almost none, right? I know you guys all have a marketing problem. It's okay. Every one of my customers has a marketing problem. It's not something that you solve overnight or ever, for that matter. But the land that we live in today, the best art, the best photography does not win. The best art or photography that gets seen wins. It is not a meritocracy on the work at first. It is a meritocracy on whether or not you can actually get it in front of somebody's eyeballs, okay? And the vast majority really seriously, significantly struggle with this, okay? And I know. I don't need to raise hands if this is true or ask anybody. I know because I've seen it. I've seen the data. Artists and photographers, by and large, have huge marketing problems. It is the number one problem that every single solitary one of you have and will be for years to come. Okay, so it's the most important thing. And one of the statements I like to make to like kind of jar you a little bit is, if I asked you who were some of the most powerful women in the world, how would you respond to that? You know how I respond to that? It is the Kardashian Jenner sisters. Now, you want to know why? Because they understand attention is the currency of the land. Now, we can all argue about how those ladies went about acquiring that attention. What we can't argue is that all of those ladies have 10 to 50 to $100 million a year businesses, or total net worth businesses. And it's because they understand attention is the currency of the land. I mean, one of them started a tequila brand like 6 months ago, and it's already like a $10 million a year business. That's insane. That is not normal. Stated another way, if either of those surgically enhanced, well-endowed women decided to take up painting or photography tomorrow, that they would have a $5 million business year one. Is that fair? No, it's not. No, it's not. Not in many ways, but it's truth, right? Like it just underscores that attention is the currency of the land that we live in. No photographers or artists are taking their marketing seriously or doing it regularly, consistently. And if they are still not doing it correctly, right? And it's just fundamental if you want to have a successful business. So after the attention that we're working on daily, physiological needs daily, you have to understand, if you want to make it in this business, the business model, and you have to understand the power of a collector list, okay? The business model, very succinctly, is you need to be selling direct. There can be no one in between you and your end buyer. And there can be no one in between you and your end buyer such that you can market to this person. You retain their information. You can market to this person in perpetuity. And individual buyers can turn into collectors. Now, the collectors, okay, I would put the size and the health, and I'll get into health in a minute, of a collector list is either the number one or number two most important metric in a business. It is the most important metric in an art or photography business that will dictate what level of success financially that business is going to have. I took the collector list concept from this book, Don't Be a Starving Artist, by Weiland, the whale guy, number one best-selling artist in the United States. Apparently, it's not even close. And in Weiland's case, he defines, and I think you should buy this book, by the way. We'll send you the link. He defines a collector as someone that will purchase in upwards of 8+ pieces of art from him over the course of his lifetime, right? And so he keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and putting out more and more work and raising his prices, and these people just come along for the ride. And so it's anybody that buys 8 pieces of work or up, and he treats these people like they are staying at the Four Seasons. They get his personal Christmas card. They get personalized emails. He follows them and likes their social posts, okay? He is super relational with his collectors because he understands fundamentally how important it is to his business. And what happens when you do this, let's keep the math simple. You come out with the new series. It can be of photographs, it can be of art, whatever. It's got 10 pieces in the series, right? And you are going to announce it to the public on Wednesday. On Sunday night, you send your collector list an email. Hey, patrons, hey, collectors. I appreciate you guys. I just wanted to let you know that I'm going to be coming out with a brand new series on Wednesday because of your support. Is a way for me to say thanks. I wanted to show it to you before the public got to see it. You send what the pieces are to the collector list, and the collector list ends up buying some portion of the work before it even gets to see the light of day, before the public gets to see it. It starts out small, right? It starts out maybe 10% of what you created will be bought by your collectors. But I've seen it go as high as like 50, 60, 70%, okay? 70%, 7 out of the 10 pieces. That means you create 10 pieces, 7 are essentially instantly sold, and you only have to sell 3. And let me tell you how fundamental this can be. It is unreal. You guys are all essentially just commission salespeople, okay? That's what artists and photographers are. If you go and create a bunch of work, and then you go out and pound the pavement and you sell it, then you make a commission and you do well. And that's fantastic. But the flip side of that is, if you don't, the work doesn't sell. It doesn't just automatically sell itself, right? So you're a commissioned salesperson. Well, when you have a collector list, what changes is you go from a commissioned salesperson to a commissioned salesperson with a base salary. All of a sudden, you get paid just for creating. You are getting paid just because you created something, because you have this list that you can market to that will instantaneously buy your work. And It is why understanding the business model is so fundamentally important. Like, you have to be selling direct such that you can build a collector list. So we can get more into the collector list as things roll along. So we understand attention is the currency of the land that we live in. We're working daily on building it. We understand the business model. We're building a collector list, right? There's three ways to sell art and photography. I believe every working artist or photographer that wants to make money and grow their business needs to understand that there are three, and then deploy the three when the situation calls for each. Okay. And the first way to sell art or photography, it's no secret, it's the best way. It's in person, face to face. This has always been the best way. This always will be the best way. But there's a problem here, right? All of us are geographically fixed on this earth. We all need to sleep, and we can't have 15 conversations at once. And so obviously we have to have a website, and the website really is the next best way. It solves for all of those situations, right? Um, for people that don't live in your town, for those times when you are sleeping, and it can sell for you. And also, when 15 people want to look at your stuff all at once. And, are websites for artists and photographers a significant problem? Yeah, they are. They are, and nobody ever wants to update them. And they're very technical, and they're always incomplete. And the majority of the ones that you guys have are all crappy and don't take credit card and make it almost impossible for someone to buy the work from you. So the state of the website affairs out there is shaky at best. But that's okay. We'll keep rolling, and I want to talk about the next way, because this is literally my favorite thing, and that's come down the pikes in this industry and forever. So there's a third way to sell art and photography. It is the newest way, and it is the greatest advancement that's happened in this industry forever. And what is it? It's leveraging live video, just like we are right now, in either a one-to-one or a one-to-many format. Let me talk about the one-to-one first, okay? Let's say I follow Amber here on Instagram, and I see a piece, and I'm like, whoa, that's interesting. And I'm sitting on the couch, and I show my wife the piece, and we're remodeling a bathroom. And so we're like, oh, wow, that's pretty interesting. So I send Amber a direct message on Instagram, and I'm like, Amber, I was really interested in a piece that you have that I saw on Instagram. My wife and I are remodeling our bathroom, and we think it might be a great fit. And Amber gets back to me and goes, no problem, Patrick. Let's jump on a Zoom call. And what I can do is I can show you a couple of the works that I have in inventory, what my print options are. We can talk about price, get to know one another. Would that be great? I say, no problem. We jump on the Zoom. I'm getting to know Amber. She's showing me some pieces. She's talking about pricing. We're starting to bond. My wife likes her. The Zoom call's going on, and a dog comes in. Hey, we've got dogs. Oh, you've got dogs. We're both dog. Like, those are the types of serendipitous things that happen when you book a call. And let me tell you, so few artists, so few photographers are leveraging live video at all in the one-to-one fashion. I mean, how many of you guys in this Zoom right now have had an art chat, an art meeting, an art Zoom video call, or photography with a potential buyer in the last year? If you have, put it in the chat, because I'd love to see. So few have, right? It is so insanely powerful. And, we have certain artists now that they don't even want people to come to their website and do anything but book a call with them, because they know it's the most valuable thing that they can be spending their time on. And that's the one-to-one. Now, let's talk about the one-to-many, okay? The one-to-many is the concept of a live art show, all right? And this particular guy here in that we're going to see is longtime customer and friend. His name is Matthew Laka. He's a painter in Laval in Quebec in Canada. And he had some excess inventory in his basement that he needed to clear out, works that he had done like 10 years ago. And so during the middle of COVID, we ran a live art show with him. And this was in, when was this, July or something, like June 9th, 2020. So a year and change ago. And it's him in his garage studio. And he's got AirPods on that are connected to his phone, which is streaming to Instagram. And then we're using his laptop to get onto Facebook and YouTube and his personal Facebook page at the same time. Now, he ran 2 of these sales over a 15-day period with excess works that he had. And he sold, I think, 62 pieces for a little bit over $30,000 Canadian. Now, those results were absolutely fantastic, amazing. And, we looked at that and we're like, okay. And this is a large part of what my job is, right? Like, find the latest and greatest ways to sell art and or photography, and then try and figure them out, hack them, build them into our software, teach our customers. So after we did the first one with him, it's like, go and find another artist. Maybe it's just him, maybe it's a fluke, right? And so next one we ran a test with, her name is Meg. She's a painter from Kansas City. She was physically moving out of one studio space into another. So she was actually legitimately moving. And she had a bunch of these like in between pieces, you know, 'cause she's a painter. So some of them were like color studies and sketches and, you know, not frame stuff. And yeah, like some pretty raw stuff. She had 82 pieces in this particular sale. And you remember when I told you the collector list? So in this particular instance, she had 82 pieces in this show. The sale happened on a Wednesday, and she emailed her collectors on Monday, and she sold 46% of the show before the thing even ran and started. She ended up selling 68 or 69 of the 82 pieces for a little bit over $12,000 Canadian, or not Canadian, American, because she's American. And then since then, we've gone and run one of these things after another, after another, after another, and you learn all kinds of things, especially when you do it with all types of different artists and all types of different subject material and all types of different internet connections and spaces and subject matter and audiences and everything in between. And you do a bunch of these things and you start to learn and you start to get, how to price things, how to announce them. What's the best time of day to run them? What are the most important social networks? How big of an impact do you have before, during, and after? And we just keep running them and running them and running them, because I'll tell you right now, full stop, this is absolutely the future of how art and how photography is going to be sold. It's not even close. And there's a bunch of data, not just like internally with what we have, proving out that this is the future of selling art and photography. And that's a new one. I haven't even seen this one. That's cool. We got a new one. I hadn't even seen that one before. But anyway, okay, great, Patrick. This looks interesting. But this is just you, right? Just you, art storefronts. Well, is it? Art Basel, UBS Global. Your industry is not one that has a ton of reports. This one's put out by Art Basel. It's I actually really like it. It's a pretty cool report. I'm going to send you a link to look at the PDF. Or they have this like key findings section that you can look at, which is pretty cool. So let me just read you the topics. The global art market, auction sales, dealer sales, art fairs and exhibitions, online sales. Now, as a disclaimer, these reports, they only interview like the top 2% of artists in working artist period, right? So picture, artists or photographers selling well over $100,000 a year, up to millions. That's who's in this report, but it's still interesting to see. So anyway, they go through this entire thing and lest you think that it's just, some small or mid-level artists that are leveraging video, just listen to this line. Chapter 5, and I quote, Chapter 5 looks at the online art market and the rapid evolution of sales in 21. The chapter shows how the dealer sector shifted sales online in 2020 and at the development of online viewing rooms, OVRs. And it goes on to explain how much art was moved in 2020 is through these OVRs. And you know what the OVR is conceptually? It is a snotty way of saying it is a Zoom call. That's it. It is the artist representative on one side. It could be the gallery owner. It could be the artist salesperson and the artist. And then on the other side is the high net worth individual. Okay. And a tremendous amount of art was sold. Okay. In the last year, all through COVID, directly leveraging video in either one-to-one or one-to-many fashions. And the entire art world is all trying to figure this out at once. Entire e-commerce world is really trying to figure this all out at once. And there's so many different iterations of it, right? And, let me just show you. So this is my same buddy, Matthew, okay? And he had a real show in a real gallery that he'd booked prior to COVID hitting, and they let him run the show. So this was in Canada in July 24th of 2020. So COVID was still a thing, as it's still a thing now. But he, with masks and social distancing, was allowed to have the show. Now, obviously, people were still really travel shy at that point, and he couldn't have that many people. So not that many people showed up to the actual gallery opening. And so the next day, again, it's live streamed to Instagram, it's live streamed to Facebook, to YouTube, and it's him with a glass of wine And look at this. You can walk right through a gallery show almost like you were there, right? People can see which pieces have the red dots on them that have sold. And you get to hear from the artist. And to be honest with you, it is the next best thing to being there in person. It is so profoundly powerful to leverage this to sell art of photography. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It is the future, full stop. And, in this instance, obviously, it was in a gallery, so he had a 50-50 split on revenue. He was not keeping the information on who was purchasing the work, but he ended up bringing a whole bunch of people to the table from his own live stream. So he essentially sold his own show himself more so than the gallery. But it just gives you an idea of another way that you can contemplate that leveraging video works, right? And like, look, I mean, this guy's wearing a tank top. He's got AirPods in. There's no special lighting. There's no hair. He didn't have any hair. There's no makeup. There's nothing special going on here. This is a normal artist, okay, that is no different than any of you guys that are on this Zoom call right now. All of you guys could do this. All of you guys could do this weekend. All you have to do is turn the camera on, start talking, and hold up your work. It's that simple, right? Absolutely the future, full stop, of selling art of photography. Without question. So we can get more into that, but that's the third way, and it is just fantastic. To finish the pyramid off, at the very top, you guys, is everything else. Like, we understand that attention is a currency of the land that we live in, and we're all working towards getting more of it and getting better at it, better at marketing. And then, it's important, yes, that we understand the business model. We're selling direct, that we're building a collector list. Yes, it's important to be deploying the 3 ways to sell art, right? You need to be selling in person when you can. You need to have your art up on a website, right? And you need to understand that leveraging video is the future, and in practicing that, right? The top of the pyramid is everything else. If you have a retail gallery that is still paying you, wonderful. I've never met a revenue source in this business I don't like, but it's got to be in addition to everything else, okay? It's got to be in addition to everything else. If you are doing the show and therapy circuit, I love the show and therapy circuit. We have some playbooks on how to get more out of the show and therapy circuit, but it's got to be in addition to everything else that you're doing, right? And it's when you do this, okay? It's when you do this and you're working at this consistently that you are on the path to building a business that grows year over year. You are on the path to building a business in which COVID or lockdowns does not slow you down one iota. You are on the path to building a business in which you control everything. Okay, you are not at the whim of being geographically locked down for any reason, or show or fair circuits closing and not going on, or being in a retail gallery where the doors are no longer open. When you marry it with perspective, is when it really becomes amazing, because I've been running these things, 3 of these a week, talking to a couple hundred of you week in, week out, and so too with my customers. And what I realize is there are people in there routinely on these calls in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, sometimes in their 90s. You have decades, okay, to get this thing right. Even if you never, you've been at this for 40 years. And you've not kept any data on anybody that's purchased your work, and you've never done any marketing. If you have the perspective of how long you have still to get this right, to actually start building a real business, it is, oh my gosh, do you have time? Artists and photographers don't have midlife crises where you go and you start doing something else. It's like, once you're a creator like this, you're always going to be a creator. So if you can just get this pyramid right, and you start working on it, boy, do you have time to get to get the business going and grow it. Boy, do you have time. So I think the perspective piece is just so insanely important. Yeah. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. At this point, I'm going to open it up to Q&A. You guys can ask literally anything about anything that was in the presentation, anything that we at Art Storefronts do, something that you are struggling on in any aspect of your business, marketing questions, business questions, pricing questions, niche selection questions. How do we go about asking questions? How do I know you have a question? There is a reactions button at the bottom of your Zoom window. And if you click that thing, you see that there's a way that you can digitally raise your hand. You can digitally raise your hand. You can see that I've done it now. So my name has like a little hand raised on it. that lets me know you have a question, and I can, unmute you, bring you on, have you ask a question. For those that have the camera on, you guys are shy today, so we don't have anybody with a camera on, which is a-okay. But if you have your camera on and you have a question, you can raise your hand and I'll see it, and can bring you in that way. If you don't want to turn your camera on, you don't have to turn your camera on. It's all good. You can ask just via audio. I totally understand that. And then if you've got questions in the chat, you can just throw them in the chat. I see some that are in there already. I will start answering those. Otherwise, if you are one of the ones that's on the social, right? Like, Lucy, I see that. Can you create your own video apart from YouTube? I can speak to that in a second. I will see your questions as well. Can answer those directly. So yeah, at that point, we open it up to Q&A. And I might as well start with yours, Lucy, because it was there. Can you create your own video apart from YouTube? Yes, of course you can. YouTube is helpful just because it's a great place to park videos, but you can do just about anything, whether it's on YouTube or not. I mean, I don't really 100% understand the rest of that, but you can let me know. Daniel says on YouTube, I used to do live art shows for 10 years at Sandals Resorts and sold a mint. I assume that means you sold well. The customer needs to know the artist. Yes, that is 100% the case. That's extremely, extremely important. Okay, I'm going to go into the chat because no one's got a question otherwise. Latasha's saying she's not the artist. Her husband is. He's in prison. Is there a market for prison artwork? And is this something that you manage? No, you would have to do the marketing, Latasha. We could teach you how to do it. I think, is there a market for prison artwork? I think it's more, there's just a market for artwork, period, but you have to do the marketing on it. I mean, you could tell his story and use it to help market the work, but I don't think there's necessarily a huge market just because somebody's in prison. At least we haven't seen that. At least not up to this point. All right. Okay, so Danny, you live in the UK. Now, Danny, your camera is on, so I'm just going to unmute you. So, okay, so you've got an exhibition coming up. What tips do you have that help me with the process? You're getting full profits from the show when it gets sold. That's awesome. I love that. So tell me, is it like an outdoor thing, Danny, or what is it? You'll need to unmute, Danny. I won't be able to hear you otherwise. It's you just hit the camera icon on the bottom left.
Got it right.
Yeah, gotcha.
Hi. Yeah. Hey. So it's in a shopping centre, but it's a very popular shopping centre, and it's a lot of people go there. And so I was just wondering if there's anything I sort of need to think about before I start selling there.
Yeah, 100% that there is. And so a show and a fair, right? Like, I love them because, one, it's you and your work, and you're in front of people, and you get feedback, and you get to see, they get a bond with you and everything else. Where artists and photographers always blow it is you think that whole episode is just you sitting in the booth and you have an opportunity if somebody walks in to sell, and that's that, right? Nothing can be further from the truth. What I want you to do is I want you to bolt a giveaway into what you're doing, okay? And so you're going to have somewhere on the stand a print that you are going to be giving away for free, and all they need to do to win is put their name down on a clipboard, right? Because what inevitably happens, Danny, is you're talking to somebody, okay, and then somebody else walks by, and they're interested in the work, but that they see you're busy, and then it's like, okay, I'll stop by on the way back, and then they don't ever stop by on the way back, right? So this gives you the opportunity to capture everybody that came by and didn't have a chance to talk to you or wanted to talk to you but didn't, right? And so they can fill out the clipboard to win the print. And so you put the print on a stand, preferably with some balloons on top of it, because I want everyone's eyes to go towards it. And don't worry, you think I'm kidding. This works so well, it's scary, Danny. I'm going to send you, I've got 2 playbooks that I've done on this. They're podcast episodes, but they're very, very good. And so I'm going to send them to you. So don't feel like you need to.
Oh, that'd be brilliant. Yeah, Thank you.
So don't feel like you have to write anything down. And the way that it works is, let's just say the show ends on Sunday to keep it simple. Sunday night, you go home and you put all of those emails into your email service provider. And if you don't have one, you're going to need to get one. Or you can send them all personally, only like 50 at a time. And announcing the winner to my print giveaway. Drum roll, please. The winner is such and such, right? And huge congratulations. Please do respond with your address so that I can put the piece in the post. And you see why I said put it in the post, okay? I'm switching gears to my English accent here, my English cultural ways. For everyone that didn't win, okay, as a way of saying thank you, I just wanted to let you know that I'll offer you guys all a 20% discount on anything that I have in my booth. Sale ends Friday, right? And then you shut up and you see what happens. And what ends up happening is that there's a lot of people that were interested that maybe didn't buy or thinking about buying. And now because you've given them a discount, you have this opportunity to capture all that extra business from the show, right? And I find often that if you do this, and were you on for the whole call? Did you see the whole presentation?
Yeah.
All of these people are like, yeah, Danny, they're like, hey, I had a great time at your show, right? You know, I was interested in one of your pieces. Do you know what I want you doing? I want you sending out the Zoom links, Danny. No problem. Let's jump on a video call and talk about it, right? Like, I can show you the piece. I can show you that it's ready to hang on your wall, right? So be ready to do some hand-to-hand combat after the fact. And so to go back to the very beginning, 99% of the artists and the photographers that go into those things think that the show is over just when the thing happened. The party's just beginning, right? Everything that you do afterwards, normally, in my experience, determines your level of ROI for that show. Because presumably, are you paying for the booth, or did you just like are they helping you out? Like, what happened there?
So it's like a kind of like a post-lockdown exhibition, and they're just hosting it. I think they're being funded. So it's like a one-off.
Wonderful. So you don't even have to pay for it. So boom.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do.
Okay. Thank you for your help.
Yeah, my pleasure. And congrats. I love that you got in there for free. That's fantastic. And all I guess we'll just send him. Oh, there. Good. She put the links. She put the links in the chat. And so one is called the fishbowl technique. I want you to listen to that. And then the other one is April. The other one that I wanted you to find is the art show playbook or the likes. Don't worry. We'll email it to you after the fact. Thanks, Danny.
Thank you.
Okay, NT, you're up next. Go ahead, NT.
Hi there.
Hi.
Thanks. I came in a little late, but I did get, I came across your ad either on Facebook or Instagram, and I'm trying to understand, is this like you're explaining if we join art storefronts, you know, what to expect and so forth? Is that kind of the
ish sort of? So this session is like a step before what you're bringing up. So what we do, because we have like such a crazy offering between software and marketing advice and everything else, is we use what we call the demo process. It's sort of like where you test drive the car, right? And you get to see all the bells and whistles and everything else. The session today is sort of how we view the industry and how we think you need to be set up, and some things that we think you need to think about if you want to make it and be successful based on our experience. And so you probably came in halfway through that, I'm assuming. I will send you the replay after if you want to rewatch it, but
oh, thanks. Yes.
Yeah, I assume you're probably just like, okay, the ad was interesting, but I still don't know what the heck these guys do. Are you in some state there?
Yeah. So I mean, I have looked a little into art storefronts. So my situation is I've had another career also in the arts for the last 20 years. But I'm an excellent artist, and I've just started to get more serious into doing the art rather than my other career.
Okay.
And I guess like I joined an art association and stuff, and we've had works in galleries. I even won in one of the galleries for one of my pieces an award. But I guess like I price my things really high because
I love that.
Like ridiculously high, because they're my originals, and I am not in a place yet where I know how to do prints, and I know how to do like, because I just don't want to give up my originals, you know. So I mean, is that something that you guys help with and teach and so forth?
We help with absolutely all of it. That's sort of the large and the small of the point. I mean, one, on the originals, that's awesome. I love that you're starting to take it seriously. I think that's fantastic. You still got to do a ton of marketing. I love that your originals are priced high, because let me tell you, having done this quite a long time, we recommend our customers price high, because we know that fundamentally one of the most important activities that moves art or photography are running sales and doing discounts, right? That's just fundamentally a massive part of selling art or photography. And let me tell you, the higher up the chain you go, the more the discounting becomes a thing, right? Like once you get into the works that are like 25,000, 50,000, 100,000, 250,000, the sheer amount of negotiation that high net worth individuals do makes the petty discounts at the lower end of the scale look like child's play, right? So when you have works that are priced extremely high, you have the room, you have the flexibility to be able to negotiate and get them moving, right? But if they're selling, you 100% need to be doing limited editions. You 100% need to be having prints, and there's multiple reasons for that. And what's your name, by the way? I see
Nicole.
Nicole.
Those are my initials there.
So you if you're in this business for any period of time, you start to realize certain things. One, that everyone's followers, no matter what, fall into a socioeconomic bell curve, right? And the bell curve is exactly like you think a bell curve is. You have the low income types that aren't going to buy anything, but they're going to know, they're going to like, and they're going to comment, and they're going to share, and they're going to open your emails, and they're going to tell their friends. And then you have the low, the middle, the upper middle class, and then you have the high net worth individuals, the bell curve, right? So number one is understanding that. Number two is having products for all of them, right? And when you just have originals, and let's say your originals start at $5,000, you really only have a product for a small portion of the bell curve. You don't have any products for the rest of the bell curve, right? And you need to. You need to, because you're going to be doing this career for the rest of your life. And when you understand perspective and how long you have, guess what happens? Those people that are on the low end of the scale now, they still love your stuff. They still want to buy something. They still want to have something on the wall such that every time they go into the bathroom, they have this tiny little piece. It was a print that they spent $150 on. Because guess what happens? 10 years from now, they become high net worth individuals. And guess who are they going to come to? They're going to come to Nicole because you've been hanging in the bathroom for the last 10 years. And stated another way, the easiest customer to get is the one that you already have. And so one of the biggest mistakes I see artists making is thinking that you can have a store experience with $5,000 as a starting price point. You're completely ignoring a whole segment of your customer base, okay, that would love to buy something from you, but you just don't have anything, right? So you need to understand the prints. You need to understand limited editions. You don't have to sell the originals if you don't want to, but I do want you to, because the work has got to get out there in the world, right? Especially for you to command higher prices on your new ones. So we teach all of that. That's essentially what we do.
So is it essentially like a service that you sell your art through, or is it more like courses where you learn how to do all this stuff?
Yeah, great question. So we started out as a software company, right? Just offering a website, and the website would be in your name, and you own it, and you own everything, and you're responsible for marketing and driving all the traffic. Come to find out, a website is not enough. If we wanted to build a successful business, we realized that we had to solve the actual problem. And do you know what the actual problem is? Not a single solitary artist has a website problem. And meaning, if I was the genie and I came out of the lamp and I said, Nicole, I will build your website for you wherever you want right now for free. Don't worry about it. Boom. Do you know what's going to change in your business? Nothing.
No.
Because all you're going to have is a Ferrari of websites with no one going to it. It's like a Ferrari sitting in your driveway with no gas in the tank, right? We realized what the problem is. And the problem, succinctly, is that all artists and photographers suck at marketing. Full stop. You have a marketing problem. It is a massive marketing problem, and it won't go away. So we realized that if we didn't start fixing that, we would never have successful customers. And so that's what we started doing. We are essentially a postgraduate university that teaches advanced art and business marketing for these types of art and business marketing. Yeah. I mean, essentially just business and modern marketing to grow an art or photography business. And I say university is the easiest way to think of it, because it's like all of the above. There is an in-person class experience on Zoom sessions. There are textbooks, which are all the various different courses that we have that goes through everything. There are office hours where you can go and meet with the TA, and the teaching never stops. It will never be able to stop, because the goalposts, on what is successful marketing moves so quickly, right? Like every artist, every photographer, if they want to make it in today's day and age, in my opinion, you have to learn marketing. You have to learn how to capture email addresses and always be doing that. You have to email the email addresses. You have to learn omni-channel marketing, which is how do you have a message that goes out number one on your email, and then number two on Facebook, and then number two on Instagram, all at the same time, dovetailing. How to run a sale, how many times a year to run a sale, how to run a live art show. All of these things are fundamental to having a successful business in this space. And that's what we teach all year long, all of it.
So it's like a school or education more than a platform to sell your art on. or
we
is
still
it
have
both?
the website. When the platform is dangerous, right? Because it's not like a marketplace where you just upload things and everybody's art's all right next to one another. You own the website. We provide the website. It's the best website in the industry. It's not even close. It has more bells and whistles on it than anything else that's out there. But again, it's not enough, right? Like, we have to teach you to send traffic to it and actually build the business. So we do both all year long. That's like the kind of the 1-2.
So then, okay, so when I would be getting it's very intriguing for me because I don't know anything really about this world except for I've been displaying, and I don't want to sell because I don't want to give up these, originals. But but so so as far as like, but the website, so it's my own, it's not like art storefront, see all our artists kind of thing. It's just, it would be Nicole's
Exactly.
website. And would it be could it be in conjunction with my current website, or would it be something
Could
separate?
do if you wanted to. I mean, we don't, we are extremely laissez-faire in what you can do. You can do whatever you like, but our websites are completely built from the ground up just to sell art or photography, wall art specifically. And we have a bunch of marketing bells and whistles built into it. So I imagine whatever you have as your current website is probably a pretty portfolio one, maybe not commerce enabled, and probably not selling a tremendous amount of your art. So you kind of have to ask yourself, do I want to keep that, or do I want to jettison that?
So I just am spread out. I'm an actress and I'm a YouTuber.
Got
and
it.
I'm pretty successful, or getting pretty successful in the YouTube and getting all these partnerships and stuff
No, I
now.
love it. What do you
But I
what
blog.
do you do on the YouTube, just out of curiosity?
Oh, it's lifestyle, but I do a lot of parenting stuff, like baby product reviews and children product reviews. I just got a deal with a toy company, so
Awesome.
I'm gonna that's my newest. It just started. They're
Good for
gonna
you. Awesome.
send me my first toys in the next month or so. So yeah, so
I can answer already. So in your case, because you have like sort of the, established entity that's working and doing things for you, you would keep that, right? And then you would put the art storefronts install on like a subdomain. So let's just say your current website is nicole.com, right? Your art storefronts one would be store.nicole.com, right? And that's on a subdomain. That's like an easy way to do it. And we have the normal iteration where we see, I'm in the wrong window here. Just bear with me. Let me get this set up. So where I see this a lot is like, if you're a photographer and you have some other aspects to your business, whether it be like service-based or, you've got large archives or the like, here's one of my buddies, Tim, and he does like big time projects. Like he's like a Nat Geo, like BVC guy, right? And so, his art storefronts install is not going to cover, all of his projects and his portfolio and his motion stuff. And so he just has a tab on his website that says Fine Art. And in his case, that will then open up his art storefront store where, he's got his stuff for sale. So you could certainly do it that way too.
Can you go back to the previous page where it showed his website? So that, what I'm seeing, Tim Lehman, that is his website, not having to do with art storefronts. The Fine Art tabs is where you guys have come in.
Yeah. Yep.
Interesting. So I mean, am I right in assuming that the marketing training and all this training could also help across the board with my YouTubing and everything?
Oh, massively. And you didn't see, you probably didn't see the presentation piece that I had where I talked about how like live art shows are the future of selling art. Did you see all that?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Okay. So you've got YouTube skills. Let's do this, right? Like I could teach you a ton already just about how crazy live streaming is and what it does, right? And like, do you see this? By the way, he's decent for an artist. He's got 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, but streaming onto YouTube, the comments that get pulled right in, right? Being comfortable on video, you already have that in spades. So you got a massive leg up right out of the gates, and you already have some built-in attention, which is awesome too. So yes, what you would learn at the end of the day, like there's two steps to this whole thing. Like one, I didn't realize I was blocking it. One, I didn't have it on again. One is selling art and photography is really its own beast, right? Like there's a lot of nuance and tradecraft to it, and that's important to understand, and there's a whole system for that. But marketing is just marketing at the end of the day. It's fundamentally about getting attention, right? So you'll end up learning a ton of tips and tricks that you don't use now that will help your other business significantly.
Great. Thank you for all those answers, and sorry to make everyone wait through all my questions.
No, it's all good. You find on these things that everyone loves hearing from everyone else.
Oh, great. Oh, I want to make one comment about the lady whose husband is in prison.
Yeah.
I want to say, like, I think that there would be a ton of people who are really into giving second chances to people.
Yeah.
And I think that, that could really be something to be marketed as, here's a good person who, I mean, I don't know the situation, but here's a good person who really wants and deserves a second chance, and, maybe create a story around that. That's just what I was thinking. I'm very into second chances, so.
100%, right? 100%.
Yeah.
The problem is, though, Nicole, is okay, so you have a good story and you have a good message. That doesn't mean that fish are going to jump in the boat as a result of it, though, right? Like you still have to go out and do the marketing work, which is the long and the short of the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, just that that there is a chance for that.
Oh, 100%.
She does the work behind it. Yeah.
I'm +1 for second chances for sure. For sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for all your information.
Yeah, and she heard you. She said thanks.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Nicole.
Okay, I'm muting now.
Okay. Okay, guys. Who else? Questions? You can digitally raise your hand, or you can throw them in the chat. Yeah, Latasha, we love second chances. I mean, awesome, right? But again, you still are going to have to do the grinding and the work on the marketing, which is not easy, right? And it's interesting. Check this out, Latasha. Your story is getting everybody going. Here's Larry saying, "I did a very long time in federal prison, 25 years. Here's a summary of his story, right? So, there's a bunch of stories along those lines. Okay, Amber, you're up next. Go ahead, Amber.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. So I just had a question about what is the best way to accept credit cards on my website. I know I heard you talk about that, and I am definitely one person who I'm just intimidated by it. I couldn't even explain why. I just really like using Zelle or Cash App or Venmo. It just seems so much easier. Is that just a mind frame that I'm stuck in?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's so easy. It's like flipping a switch, and in 2 seconds you're sorted. But you sort of already have it. Like, are you selling a decent amount of art just taking Venmo or Zelle or PayPal?
I am definitely not on a regular. I feel like a couple of years ago I was a lot hotter than now, and I've kind of just fallen off the wagon and took a different path in life. And now it's always pulling me back. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get serious about it now. So it's just something that's always been there in my life, but I'm not very good at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've sold some, and I just take Venmo and stuff.
When you were hot, what were you doing to get the customers?
Well, I would say that I was just out in life more. I was just throwing these like pop-up art, I guess, shows in Atlanta, just at clubs. I really stayed out of galleries. I would just do like a 2-hour showcase. And I was doing these like every quarter. So I would just come up with a title and whatnot, and then get everyone hyped about it online.
Awesome.
And I could have anywhere from like 50 to 75 people coming in on these showcases at these really swanky lounges. And I just don't get out much anymore. And I'm really interested in the virtual, what you were talking about.
Yep.
Getting online. I personally, I don't even have my camera on just because I'm not very good at that.
Yep.
So I think I have a lot of work to do.
We all do. And make no mistake about it, like video, not new. Okay. Video been around a long time, but it sort of had its moment during COVID, and everything changed. And if you go back in the history of this company, I've been at this company for 6, almost 7 years. I was never on video once, not once, until literally like February of before March, before the pandemic hit last year. I hate video. I hate being on video. I had a podcast. But I was contrarian enough to understand, like, look, the game's changed. I've got to get on video, and it is just so insanely powerful. It's like a super catalyst, both for us getting to know us and art storefronts, and whether or not we're full of it or whether or not we know what we're talking about. Like, do you know much quicker that takes place with video than it would be with sending you emails? And I know we email too much, or trying to send you to blog posts, or have you listen to a podcast. Like, all of that's well and good, but it takes a long time. Video just truncates the timeline. It's like it's got like a catalyst or a chemical reaction. And so too for the case of you guys, right? Like, you already know the best way to sell art because you were doing it, but the problem is not everyone lives in Atlanta, right? And you can't be going out to clubs all the time. So sometimes you just need to be able to do it from your house. And, the live art show is the future, right? And, let me tell you, as I cycled through, like, all of these people are no different than you, right? They're no different than you, right? Some are terrified of camera. Some are okay on camera. No one here has really that fancy of equipment. The lighting is not particularly great. There was no hair. There was no makeup. Nobody cares, right? Nobody cares. Like, you look at what's happened over television over the last like 6 months with like, a lot of the news anchors or the sports people couldn't even get into the studio. And so it's them with the same kind of crappy AirPods or whatever they have, filming television segments, right? Like,
what's even the thing with the AirPods? What's like the hoopla of them in the video?
So turns out with streaming, you need destinations, and this thing is the only thing that can go live on Instagram. And so the AirPods are connected to this thing, which goes live onto Instagram, and then the computer is the one that handles YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and Twitch and LinkedIn and whatever else they have for their disposal. So there's a ton of little tradecraft that goes along the way, but that's kind of like one of our specialities.
Can you go live though without having your AirPods? I mean, because you're just using the audio off your phone, or is that
100% you could? Yeah, 100% you could.
Oh, okay.
But there's like, we're getting into the weeds, right? Like, all I want you to know is conceptually how easy it is, and yes, you can totally do it with the phone. But as you get better and you start, kind of.
And same with the credit card. I mean, is it just finding a platform?
No, in the short term, you can take Venmo and PayPal. You're fine. Yes, like, if you're gonna get back into it, you should take a very hard look at us, because we have all of this for you. But otherwise, if you're gonna do it on your end, yes, Amber. I mean, it's as simple as flipping a switch. It's no different, right?
Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking my question.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. And what's making you want to get back into it now, just out of curiosity? You just feeling the itch?
I'm just having so many different, I guess, experiences, and it's all up in my mind, and I haven't gotten it out yet on canvas. I just haven't really been creative. So I think I'm just ready again.
Yeah.
And I'm just really interested. I don't even know how I found this video, honestly. And I'm just like, all of a sudden I'm on this video with all these artists, and I'm so inspired. And I'm like, how did I even fall back in here? So it's kind of like life just puts you in it.
For sure. You gotta love that.
Interesting how the world works in the universe. So yeah.
Indeed. Well, get it out. Don't let that stuff simmer for too long.
Thank you so much, Patrick.
Yeah. Thanks, Amber. All right. That's interesting. Russell's asking me if we have a Discord. I'm gonna unmute you on that, Russell. What are you using Discord for, just out of curiosity? And I have my own guesses, but I'm curious to hear from you.
I just thought, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. Just a question. I didn't know if you had one for your members that pay to communicate, easier with each other about things that are working and whatnot. It seems like it would be a good thing for you guys to have.
We could, and one, we have bi-weekly Zoom sessions that they all jump in, and they're all hammering the chat when they're in there between one another. And then we also have a private Facebook group for everyone. So they're all in there talking in there all the time. And then a lot of times people will take stuff offline too. But by and large, you would find the majority of the art and or photography, as a macro statement, are not the most technologically savvy. And so, I bet if I polled my audience, maybe 1 out of 100 would even know what Discord is, right? which is why I asked, how are you aware of it? Like, are you into crypto, or are you doing gaming, or are you doing like?
I'm in IT. Yeah,
you're in IT, which would explain why you know. But I definitely dig it. I think it's super interesting.
Sweet.
Yeah. Any others, Russell? While we got you unmuted. Oh, you're not Russell. Oh, you are.
I don't know. I'm thinking about doing this. I've sold a couple of things in like the small local art gallery here, and I'm thinking my niche is more like an online thing.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of like digital art and fractal art.
Okay.
Stuff. Also some acrylic stuff. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, look, if the general rule of thumb is, once you know you have work that the market wants, i.e., you sold your work to people not named mother, dad, brother, sister, family, friends, you know, at that point in time, you transition from knowing whether or not the work is going to sell to, you just have a marketing problem, right? And you got to start working on it same as anyone else, and that's how it's going to grow. And that's how you'll figure out if your audience is more interested in your acrylics or more interested in the fractal stuff, or what you might be doing, you know? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Russell. We could help you. Okay. Good session today, guys. I enjoyed it. And Eddie's now asking me about Discord. Yeah, it's interesting. It's super interesting. Eddie, I don't necessarily know if you would need to do it. I would sooner probably have you use Facebook or Instagram, unless there's like a Discord community that you could get involved in that is hardcore about your niche, right? That's what I would say probably in that circumstances. But yeah, it's good questions all. Guys, any final ones before we sign off for the day? And while people are looking and asking or contemplating your question, I will, like I said, as soon as this is over, as soon as the video is ready to go, send you a video, send you all of the links. But make no mistake about this countdown timer. In 38 days, it will be October 1st. That is the start of Q4. That is when, I'm not sharing my screen. That is when all of the serious marketing starts taking place. And Black Friday and Cyber Monday come up. And, you know, Q4, no joke, it is the marathon that every artist, every photographer needs to run, because it is the single solitary best time of the year. And why did my countdown timer stop? It should be going. There we go. It is the single solitary best time of the year to have sales in the water. It is when more credit cards are out of wallets and money is being spent. And the difference between the artist or the photographer that prospers in Q4 are the ones that actually do the minimal amount of work, which is a tiny bit of marketing, and actually have a sale during Black Friday and Q4. Almost no one ever does that. So many people just let it come, let it go, and never worked on their marketing, never got their art up on a website. And you guys, it comes around once a year. It is the single solitary best time every single solitary year to sell art, to sell photography. You guys can totally do this and kick butt. So that's where it is. That's what I got. That's my presentation, and I'm sticking to it. So I'll email you guys everything after the fact, but get ready. Q4 is coming. It's gonna be a big one this year too. I think just given the fact that, you know, God forbid this Delta variant comes back screaming, but chances are it looks like that's going to be the case. And if that's the case, everyone's at home. Everyone is still going to be everyone is still going to be looking to spruce up their home because they're working from home, and art and photography sales is going to be one of those big ones that goes along for the ride. So got to get ready, you guys. Q4 is coming. Kenda, you just turned your camera on. Did you have a question, or are you just doing the thumbs up? All right. I'll take it. I'll take that thumbs up, Kenda. I'll take it. Wonderful. Well, thank you guys. Everybody have a great rest of your week, and hope to see you on the inside, or we'll certainly send you some videos.